Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Praise be to Allah alone, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, none can show him guidance. May the peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear viewers everywhere, welcome to a new edition of your program, Ask Huda. Our phone numbers beginning with the area code are 002-0100-246-4583, and the other number is area code 002-011-2500-8679, and the email addresses are ask@huda.tv and gardens@huda.tv. We have a couple of pending questions from the previous episode. Sister Fatima, who inquired about if the cheese is made from linen, which is imported from non-Muslim countries. And we know that for sure, that the most famous cheese and the most expensive are imported from non-Muslim countries, whether from the Danish or from Holland or from New Zealand. So she was asking about whether the cheese is halal or haram to eat because of the enzyme which is used in making the cheese. This enzyme, as I referred to last episode, is extracted from a part which is known as al-anfaha. This is available in the digestive system of the cattle as well as the pigs, and mainly it is highly concentrated in the stomach, particularly the baby cattle. So the question is, whenever these animals are not being slaughtered according to the Sharia, so there is no tazkiyah, those who do not eat these animals because they have not been sacrificed, they were killed by a stunning gun or electrocuted or by any means, so the animal to us is dead. We're not allowed to eat its flesh. And similarly, if the animal is originally one of the animals which are not allowed to eat its flesh, even if it has been slaughtered, such as the pigs, the swine, then the result is the same. So the question is, if the enzyme of the renin is extracted from the anfaha or from the stomach of a dead animal, I would like to explain quickly before taking any calls that, number one, we have to exclude these enzymes which have been extracted from the stomach of the pigs. Absolutely forbidden. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden the swine, its flesh, its blood, its everything about it. Number two, if the animal is lawful for us to eat its meat, but we don't know how it was slaughtered, now we have two different opinions. Al-Jumhur, the vast majority, including Al-Imam al-Shafi'i and Imam Malik, and one of the opinions of Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah have mercy on all of them, are of the view that this is a liquid, the enzyme, in a vessel which is najis, impure. The vessel happened to be the stomach of the dead animal. So it is impure accordingly, and it cannot be used in making food or drink to be consumed by Muslims, because the animal was killed. And that's why, by the way, when we say slaughtering or sacrificing the animal, we use these words, al-dhabh, al-tazkiyah, sacrificed or slaughtered, but the word killed means it's mayta. إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير. He has only forbidden for you the consumption of al-mayta, the dead animal. Even if it was a cow or a sheep, but it is dead, then we can't eat its meat. Number two, If the animal itself has not been slaughtered in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accordingly, Al-Jumhur said we are not allowed to eat anything which will be extracted from this animal, not only the flesh. Al-Imam Ahmad, in one of his two opinions, and Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, and accordingly Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah adopted the view that, well, it is permissible to eat the cheese which is made from the anfaha, the enzyme, the renin, which is extracted from the stomach of an animal. Originally it is lawful to eat its meat, but it was slaughtered by non-Muslims, or it was not slaughtered, so we deal with it as mayta. What is your reference to that? They say because when the Muslims conquered Persia, and Persia are Majus, the Rostarians, fire worshippers, they are neither Jews nor Christians, so we're not allowed to eat their daba'ih under any circumstances, even if they slaughter it, not kill it. And when they went to Iraq, they found the cheese, and they knew that it's coming from these animals, and they did not investigate, rather they asked. They said Bismillah, and they ate, and they did not ask whether it's haram or halal as an indication it was halal. Why? Because also the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to the Battle of Tabuk on the 9th year after the Hijrah, and he stayed approximately 20 days in Tabuk, confronting the Romans, the ba'ih were not lawful for us to eat, but they were introduced to the cheese, and he put the knife in it and he said, say Bismillah and eat from it. Similarly, Abdullah ibn Umar in Mecca and Abdullah ibn Abbas, several incidents combined together indicate, according to the opinion of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa and followed by Imam Ahmad and Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, we shouldn't ask because it is not the meat, rather it was the enzyme which is extracted from the stomach. Some scholars said, well, if we know for sure that this is coming from a dead animal, then it is better to avoid. I presented all the views, and I would like to mention to you also that the animal source of the renin as an enzyme, which is used as a catalyst to be used in making the cheese, isn't the only source. Rather, there is a plant source, which is sometimes used from certain plants, babas and the eggplants family, and other plants, but it only leaves a bitter taste in the cheese itself. That's why it's not preferred that much. Also, there is the bacterial origin, bacterial source. I mentioned last episode, I will verify that since I was studying that in the past, a long time ago. In the lab, we do prepare a lot of things from organic microbial sources. So, there is a microbe which is used in generating this enzyme. I'm not sure how broad, how wide its usage and its production, but it's also one of the sources. So the animal source is not the only source. Barakallah fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Aisha from the KSA. Okay, we lost the two phone calls. No problem. Try again. Now, the second very important question from Sister Zaina from Mauritius. Are there any cures for people suffering from depression? Of course. Depression could be due to being affected by a calamity, could be due to feeling unlucky, could be due to being under magical spell or an evil eye, or could be due to simply psychological or psychiatric disorders. And in any case, there is a treatment. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, Allah did not create a disease without a treatment, except for one disease, the disease which is the sickness of death. There is no cure from that, okay? Even if it is not just some fever or headache, because it is the introduction to death. As far as the treatment for depression, I'm not going to tackle the psychological or the psychiatric disorder and its treatment. That will leave it to the physicians. There are antidepressant medications. The only concern that is actually their side effects sometimes may outweigh and become even severer than depression itself. But otherwise, when it comes to any of the previous causes which I mentioned, there are invocations, there are supplications, there are ruqyah and means of ta'weedh prescribed by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in order to ward off depression, in order to protect yourself against it, and in order to get rid of it in case that the person falls in it. Number one, let's take some calls and inshallah we'll continue answering this question. Brother Ala from United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have two questions. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead please.
Yeah. My first question is about doing masa on socks. These are normal socks, cotton socks, woolen socks, nasty, the leather socks. Is it allowed? And second part of this question is it asan to remove socks and do or on the work when you go for work you do go and then afterwards you do prayers there and do just the masa.
Okay.
This is my first question.
Yeah.
My second question is about reading other dua like if I'm doing nafal, reading other dua apart from Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Say if I do duas which are like do astaghfar, I do la ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. I do dua like Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, and Allah mani a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn wal-ijzi wal-kasal. These kind of dua, am I permitted to do them during sajda?
Okay, thank you Ala. Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Abdul Rahman from the KSA.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have two questions.
Please.
The first one is, are we allowed to buy and eat grape leaves which were grown or picked from wine pressing grapes? And the other question is, are we allowed to make vinegar in our own homes?
To make what?
Vinegar.
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 From what source?
Yeah, in our own homes.
From what source?
From fruits.
Okay.
From dates, from grapes.
Okay. Thank you, Abdul Rahman. Okay. Quickly, Ala said with regards to wiping over the regular socks. I remember the brother last episode asked about the smart socks beneath the ankles. If the regular socks, cotton, nylon, whatever, they cover the skin, okay, it is permissible according to the vast majority of the scholars to wipe over those socks provided you put them on while in a state of tahara. Then you can go along with them for residents 24 hours a day and night, and for travelers 3 nights and 3 days 72 hours. From the moment that they make a new wudu while wiping over the socks, leather socks, cotton socks, or khuffain, or boots, or whatever. With regards to which one is better, to take them off or to simply wipe over them. Some people think that this concession is only because the cold weather and whenever we are in winter. No. And Mughira ibn Shu'bah, when he was pouring water to the Prophet ﷺ to help him to make wudu, he rushed to take off his boots. He said, no, da'huma, leave them on, because I put them on in a state of tahara, wudu. And he simply wiped over on top of his khuffain. So the companions and the scholars deduce from this that it is preferable to wipe over the socks, the boots, the leather socks, if you put them on during tahara, than just taking them off and washing your feet. Making dua in your sujood with other supplications. A supplication, why I began by answering Ala's question, even though I was answering a previous question about depression from Sister Zainab from Mauritius, Because he mentioned in sujood, can I make such dua? And he quoted the dua, which was one of the du'as I'm going to remind you with as one of the best means of treatment of depression. When he said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan, وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. Can I recite this dua in sujood? And he said, in nafl. Yes, in nafl. And in fard, in jama'ah, in congregation. And if you're praying by yourself in night prayer, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, loud, secret prayer, in any sujood. Because the hadith did not specify any sajda in any prayer. Rather, he said, أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه وهو ساجد. The position which will make you the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is while you are in a state of sujood. So seize this opportunity according to the hadith. فأكثروا من الدعاء وأنتم سجود. So increase making dua while you are in a state of sujood. Even if these invocations happen to be some parts of ayat of the Quran. But you're not reciting Quran, because you can neither recite Quran in ruku' nor in sujood. Rather, you're reciting them as invocations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Ridwan from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Thank you. Now, during the episode of Sunday, the previous episode,
Ridwan, I can understand a word. Connection is terrible.
during the episode of Sunday, the previous episode of Sunday,
Yeah. What about it?
somebody asked you a question which apparently you did not understand. I want to repeat it.
What is the question?
The question was on witr, Salatul Witr.
Salatul Witr. Making up the witr prayer. Yes, that question was asked last episode. What about it?
Yes, what he was asking was whether if somebody misses witr prayer during the night, whether he can pay back after Fajr prayer. That was his question.
Well, I did answer the question in details, and I said, if you miss the witr prayer, then you cannot pray any prayer after Fajr until sunrise. Then past sunrise, you can pray the witr, and you can make up all the missed prayers of night. If you used to have a regular routine of praying at night, then you missed it. And I quoted a couple of ahadith, but the only difference that you will have to pray it even, not odd. You can pray it after sunrise all the way until 15 minutes before dhuhr, or before the sun moves away from its meridian. Okay. Any other questions? Ridwan. Yeah. Sister Muhammad from the KSA is next on the line.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I would like to ask a question. I would like to know if I should cover in front of my father-in-law, but my husband, he was adopted, so I don't know if I could cover in front of if I should cover.
Okay, you mean with cover like wear a scarf, wear a regular hijab, right?
Yes.
Okay, your father-in-law should be treated exactly like your own father. So how do you dress up before your father? You dress up before your father that you are allowed to show your arms.
No.
Okay, you need to mute your TV. Or okay, I will answer your question inshallah, Sister Muhammad. Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha from Nigeria.
Yes, my name is Aisha. I'm calling on behalf of my sister last week. She called, she was asking a question that she fell sick some weeks ago. She collapsed. Then after going to the hospital, they were not able to discover what happened to her. Then she started having fear in her heart. She cannot sleep. She recited Surah Al-Baqarah. She did all her askar. Still, she started having shock in her faith.
No.
And it's really disturbing her. She feels she's going to die. She doesn't know what to do.
Okay, Barakallah
So
feek.
please, can you assist?
Thank you, Sister Aisha from Nigeria. I got your question. Okay. I will put a hold on the calls until I answer these questions, inshallah. Sister Abdul Rahman was asking about eating the plants which are grown in the vineyard, which is meant to be used to make wine. Any food in its original form, like grapes for instance, before it has been made into wine, is halal to eat. No problem. From the field, from the same guy who sells it here or there, as long as it has not been turned into wine. Number two, can we make vinegar at home? Yes, you can make vinegar at home. If you're not, I asked her, from what source? Because if it is from wine, no, you can't. Only if wine happened to transform by itself into vinegar, it's halal to eat it. It's not wine anymore. It is not intoxicant anymore. But to manually turn it into vinegar from alcohol, no, it is not. Because we still have the opinion of the vast majority that alcohol is impure anyway. Now, I was answering Sister Zainab from Mauritius with regards to the remedy for depression. So I would like to continue with the rest of the causes, whether it's a magical spell, evil eye, or being afflicted with a calamity. Especially with the last one. Being afflicted with a calamity when the person feels like the loss of a beloved person, a husband, a wife, children, the loss of his entire wealth, not being able to pass the exam or whatever. These are all tests and trials, right? The loss of a limb, the loss of an organ, being paralyzed. You know, it's very amazing when one of our predecessors had a gangrene in one of his legs. And they told him that we have to cut it off. We have to amputate it. He said, do it. And he was very welcome in the idea because he knew that if you have to do it, do it. They said, well, the only problem, it is very painful and we have to give you some anesthesia. Back then they didn't have this anesthesia. So they said, we'll give you khamr, wine to drink. He said, khamr? No way. I would never taste something which Allah has forbidden. Rather, when I pray, whenever I'm in the prayer, He can cut off my leg. And he entered the prayer, and he was like in absolute submission and khushu'. As they were cutting his leg, he was disconnected. He was in another world. Afterward, the pain was very severe. When they came to condole him for the loss of his leg, he said, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me 4 and He only took 1. So I should thank Allah for the remaining 3. And I think last episode I spoke about my experience in Umrah when I saw the guy who was crawling. Subhanallah. Then they said, well, we're actually giving you the condolence because your son was on the roof of the building and he fell off and he died. I said, Alhamdulillah. They said, you're really weird. We tell you that your son got killed. You lost one of your sons, you say, Alhamdulillah. You lost your leg and you say, Alhamdulillah. I said, yes, I have 7 sons, I have 7 children. Allah took only 1 and left for me 6. So when you look at the bigger picture, the full part of the glass, how much you have, how much you possess, you truly appreciate the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you. Only when you start comparing yourself to those who are superior to you, much more fortunate than you, because you don't know their sufferings, you only see one part, which is the richness, their health, their happiness, what seems to be happiness, but you don't know. Wallahi, one person whom I know, he's a multi-billionaire, once was telling me that subhanallah, that he ordered like a brand new Mercedes, a custom made and so on. He said, I never enjoyed it. I said, why not? He said, because the driver's seat is made with a bunch of electronics to massage and to soothe the driver, and I never sat on it. It's always my driver who's driving the car and enjoying all of that. While I'm being thrown in the rear of the car in the back seat, you know, like a KG student. So I believe that my driver is having fun and enjoying the car more than I do. This is Allah's provision. He gives it to whomever He wills. Happiness is also a provision, is rizq. is divided for you when to be happy, when to be sad, and so on. Frequently reciting these invocations along with increasing the level of Iman in Al-Qadr make you always happy. The highest level of as-sabr, of patience, is ar-rida. Because patience, dealing with the afflictions, with the trials and tribulations, vary. The area which is all good, to begin with patience, not to object to Allah's decree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, how excellent, how amazing is the condition of a believer. Is if he's given something good, he's grateful to Allah, and that is good for him. If he's been tested with a calamity, he is patient. And that too is good for him, because it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a higher level, which is to accept, not just to be patient. This is from Allah, alhamdulillah wa shukrillah. The highest level is ar-rida, to be pleased with Allah's decree. Such person would never, ever have depression. This is from Allah, alhamdulillah. Ibrahim alayhi salam being thrown in fire, and Jibreel alayhi salam lands on him. While they cast him in fire, he's fallen in the middle of fire. And this is not any fire, subhanallah. It took them a month to build it up. They couldn't come close to it, so they invented the catapult to shoot Ibrahim from distance into fire. Alaka haja? Do you have any need? He said, Amma minka fala. From you, no. He knows that this is Jibreel. He can blow in fire and turn it, put it out. He said, no. He said, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel. That's between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Inna Allah idha ahabba abadan ibtalah. Unlike what most people think. They think that if Allah gives me more, if Allah gives me healthy, if Allah makes my wife happy, if Allah makes my children successful, that's a sign that He loves me. Not necessarily true. The hadith says, whenever Allah loves any of His servants, He will try him. He will test him. Why? Because these tests are means of purifications. Allah will continue to test His beloved ones until close to their death. He will even increase and double the test, so that they will meet Allah absolutely pure. When the person perceives the tests and trials from this perspective and looks at it from this angle, he will not have depression. Salama, may Allah be pleased with her, she's told that her husband, her most beloved, died. She said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We all belong to Allah, and unto Him we shall return. Then she said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever says, upon being afflicted with a calamity or losing something, Oh Allah, reward me in my calamity and give me better than what I lost, Allah will give him better than what he lost, in addition to rewarding him for his patience. She said, I said to myself, and who could be better than Abu Salama? I mean, when I say, oh Allah, give me better than what I lost my husband. Who on earth could be better than Abu Salama? Then she said, Wallahi, since the Prophet ﷺ said it, I must say it. So she said, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wakhluf li khayran minha. Once her iddah was over, 4 months and 10 days, and Nabi ﷺ proposed to her. She's an older woman. She was not likely to be very beautiful. She was an average person with a bunch of kids. Yet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet ﷺ to marry Salama, so that Salama had become one of the mothers of the believers. Not only that, Salama, may Allah be pleased with her, would be the wife of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in paradise. All of that because of being pleased with Allah's decrees. Not objecting to them, rather being patient, accepting that without any objection, and furthermore, the highest level is pleasure. You do that, wallahi, you will never have depression. If you still, maybe because an evil eye, because of a magical spell, stick to these invocations. Shall I share with you one thing which if you do, I promise you, and you will call me back and say, I tried it and it does work. Can you sit for half hour, for an hour? I'm not prescribing a particular time, but I'm saying just commit yourself to sit for certain time, for plenty of time, an hour or so. Just send the Durood Sharif upon the Prophet ﷺ. Say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid wa barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidun Majid. Say it 100 times, a few hundred times, no more depression. Trust me. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. We'll take a short break and be back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
Reading the Quran is a blessing. Understanding its translation is beautiful. But diving in depth and extracting pearls from it is simply amazing. Do they not ponder upon the Quran? Every week, inshallah, we will dig deep and reflect on the verses of the Quran one by one.
Quran in Depth with Sheikh Ibrahim Zaidan, only on Huda TV.
يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. We'll open the phone line back for your valuable questions and concerns, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Zahir from Egypt. Zaki from Egypt, I'm sorry. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Zaki.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Sheikh, this is like, actually last week my wife had put forward this question. I would just like to rephrase this one because there might have been some kind of a miscommunication. Okay, the question she intended to ask was, in all the food products, there is this red colored products, you know. For example, the strawberry flavored and all.
Correct.
In those food products, they actually add, to get the red color, they actually get this color by adding the crushed beetle. It's called the caramine, E120 or something, the color code also.
Yes.
Okay, this color, they obtain it by getting this, some kind of a fluid or anything from the crushed beetle.
The crushed
So,
beetles,
wanted to know if this
you're
is
talking
halal
about,
or
Yazaki, you're talking about crushed insects.
Yes, insects.
Okay,
insects.
so the
And
answer
I am
is the
told
same.
That all these colors that you get in today's products, you know, the milk or yogurt or whatever it is.
And how do you know? Because I do believe that these are all artificial colors.
Hello?
Can you hear me? طيب.
Hello?
I can hear you, Zaki. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what. So I just wanted to know if this is halal or not.
If these colors, as you said, from crushed insects, no, don't eat them.
Okay.
It's not only haram, it's also awful.
As a caramine, this color's name. Okay?
Gross.
Okay, my second question is, for example, the Fajr prayer, okay? And just before some time, I saw you answering to a question that you should avoid praying during the Ishraq time. Okay? My question is, for instance, if you get up late, one day at the time of Fajr, at the time of Shuruk. So still you should wait until this time is over, or since it is going to be a Fajr Farz, Farz Salah.
Okay.
So you can pray irrespective of whether it's going to be this time or the sunrise time or any time.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Barakallah feek. Thank you. Muhammad from the KSA, should I cover up before my father-in-law? That was her question. And the father-in-law is a permanent mahram. The permanent mahram means you don't have to wear hijab. The hijab which is known to us to cover from head to toe. But you can show your head, your hair, your neck, your arms, your shins. All of that is okay. Like you're sitting before your father. Some people misunderstand this theory and they think because I'm sitting before my father or my brother or my son, I wear my pajamas, or I wear very short clothes, shorts, for instance, pair of shorts. I wear revealing clothes because we are a family. No, it is not like that. It is not like that. There is an awrah for a man before his own mother, before his own sister, before his own brother, before another man, before his own father. For instance, for the man, from the navel to the knees. You cannot just sit in a pair of very short shorts or underclothes and say, because, she's my mother, or she's my mother-in-law, or even he's my brother, we share the same room, or he's a man like me, or a woman says she's a woman like me. No. The exception with regards to the chest part, because it happens normally if a woman is lactating and she's in need to lactate or breastfeed a child, so there is no problem. But taking it easy with any mahram, we also have to know the level or the limit, where beyond that you cannot show anything. All of that provided you feel secure against the fitna. I'm sorry to tackle this, but it happens sometimes. Especially for those who live in the West, they gotta be very careful. Because mingling with people in this society, really it evolves a lot of ideas. Some good and mainly terrible. So, when I say, if you fear the fitna, it could rise up to the level of saying to your husband, I'm sorry, I cannot stay in the same house with your dad alone, if the guy is not trustworthy. That will be depending on your measurement to the circumstances or having an experience, not just being paranoid or anything like that. Okay? But a short answer to your question, your father-in-law is a permanent mahram, should be treated like your own father. The word permanent mahram means it is not permissible for you to marry him under any circumstances forever. Of course, no one is going to marry her father-in-law, but I'm talking about there are certain cases where in case of separation or in case of death of one of the parties, he can marry to your brother-in-law. It is permissible, right? That can never happen with the father-in-law. The ayah of Surah An-Nisa explains it all. Abu Mujahid from the KSA says, is it possible to see the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our dreams? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Why? Because number one, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the sound hadith, من رآني في المنام فقد رآني حقا فإن الشيطان لا يتمثل بي. Whoever sees me in a dream, in a night vision, has indeed saw me. That's me. Because Satan cannot appear as me or disguise in my figure. What does it mean? Let me explain this statement very clearly after this call. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Mona from Jordan. Sister Maryam from Jordan. Naam, Sister Maryam, go ahead.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It won't work that way. You need to mute your TV set, please, Sister Maryam.
And regarding sadaqah?
Sister Maryam, mute your TV set, please.
Okay, my kids were given some Eid money, so I encouraged them to give some of that money for sadaqah. And they agreed to that, and you have to turn it down, Yusuf, you won't be able to hear me. They agreed to that, so they wanted to give something for sadaqah. But then we're right next to Syria, so we're around some people that are suffering, and they don't have shelter maybe, and they don't have clothing, they don't have basic life necessities. So we're thinking to donate, since we're right here to them, donate that sadaqah to them. But then I was also telling my kids about sadaqah jariyah, and they became interested in that, and they wanted to do that instead of the regular sadaqah, because they knew that the sadaqah jariyah will give them reward even after they pass away. So they were going back and forth between the two, and they said, no, I want to do that because then we'll keep getting good deeds. So, but then I said, no, maybe we don't need to do that because maybe the situation here is more urgent where there's people that are hungry. Which sadaqah is better for this kid at this point?
Obviously, I'm very interested in this kind of dialogue. The sister said to her children who collected some Eid gifts, money, cash, that it would be better to give it in a charity. So the children are very excited. They wanted to give it in a charity to the Syrian refugees who are in shelters or who cannot find shelters. Meanwhile, they heard about the continuous charity and they thought that is more exciting and they want to invest. So they are having this argument. There should not be any problem in investing in both. Because even if I have like $100, I can put $10 in remodeling a masjid, building a masjid, an orphanage, a hospital. This is a continuous charity, okay? But now there is an imminent need. It doesn't make any sense to feel like lost in the jungle, don't know what to do with your money, and while we're having people dying on the borders, particularly in Jordan, Syrian refugees are dying, they're freezing to death. I mean, I don't have to think about it. Hey, kids, you have to give my money, your charity, to these guys that are more worthy than building masajid, than anything else. These are supported by others, and now this is a very important door of investment to save lives. So there is an imminent need to save lives. I hope also this is a reminder for myself and for all the brothers and sisters who have an access to support the Syrian refugees in any country. I'd like to share with you the very sad news. Just yesterday, the Egyptian regime decided to freeze all accounts and to crack down all the non-profit organizations which have been functioning for decades in supporting orphans, widows, and poor families. I have witnessed many of these virtuous activities, and I have seen that they're looking after a couple million families. I'm not saying a couple 100,000, no. A couple million families, between orphans, widows, and extremely poor family, between giving them monthly salaries, running absolutely free service hospitals. We have actually volunteered to record some of these services to show it to people on the screen so that they can assess them. And these organizations are under the control and supervision of the government. I mean, they're not like having hidden accounts, but for some reason, in a few days, these hospitals would not find a single penny to be operated. The orphans who regularly receive their salaries, a little bit of fund to support them, and widows to support their orphans and so on, beginning of month will have no money whatsoever. But they will have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their invocations will be answered. So this is a warning message from me to those who sometimes decide without thinking and hurt the poor furthermore. And those who can help the poor by any means, please do so. I'd like to share with you a very interesting story which is Dhahabi shared with us in one of his books. He said there was a king, and he used to have some of his governors and high-ranking officers who were oppressors. One of them was returning home and he saw a fisherman. He came back from fishing with a big fish. He liked it. He said, give me the fish. He said, I have to sell it in the market and get some cash to buy food for my kids. He said, I'm going to take it. So anyway, by force, he confiscated the fish and he took it from him. While he was carrying the fish going home, the fish bit him, bit his thumb. He didn't really pay much attention. A bite of a fish, no big deal. But the thumb swelled and it turned blue and it was very painful. Doctor said, guess what? This is gangrene and we have to ampute your thumb or else the gangrene may spread to the palm, to the arm. He said, cut it off. So they cut off his thumb. Next morning the pain was even severer. It said it spread to the palm. We have to cut the rest. Then from the elbow. Then from the shoulder. And he was in a messed up condition. Some people came and visited him and said, what wrong did you do? They know that he's an oppressor, but they asked him, what is so special that you deserve all of this pain? He said, perhaps it is because of the fish which bit me. They asked him, where did you get the fish from? So they told him about the situation. He told them, he said, you know what? You need to find a fisherman, the poor fisherman, and go and beg him for forgiveness. And he did. He went to him after losing his arm, and he was still in pain. He said, please, I beg your pardon, forgive me. He said, what happened to you? When did you lose your arm? He said, it's all because of your fish. He said, well, I didn't know that it would do all of that to you. He said, did you ever tell Allah anything? He said, yes. When you turn around and you overpowered me because of your authority, and you took the fish, which was the only source of provision for myself and my family that day or that night, I asked Allah, oh Allah the most powerful, show him your power. He overpowered me, so show him your power. He said, that's why. Imagine how many people, when you see these Syrian refugees, we have thousands of families whom these organizations were looking after them, paying their rent, buying them their medications and food and necessary supply and so on. Beginning of the month, have no supply whatsoever. Any of them may make a dua. You know what? There are a lot of idiots in this life. Somebody may think himself very smart, very powerful, like he's a big shot, he's very authoritative, but guess what? إذا جاء أجلهم لا يستأخرون ساعة ولا يستقدمون. It's a very short and brief life. You have to be very careful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا عبادي إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وجعلته بينكم محرما فلا تظالموا. O my servants, I have forbidden oppression on myself, and I have made it forbidden for you. Don't you ever oppress one another. Don't you ever oppress one another. Sister Aisha, with regards to fear and panic attacks, if you said that you recited the adhkar and it didn't work, I highly recommend that you should consult a psychiatrist and get the proper medication. There is a treatment for the panic attacks. Also, try not to be alone by yourself. Live with people, because mainly these panic attacks happen because of feeling lonely. And I seize this opportunity and I ask Allah to cure you and give you a quick recovery and shifa, and ask the viewers to pray for you and for every sick Muslim and Muslimah and for every needy one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala suffice for your need. May Allah protect you and give shifa to all the sick Muslim men and women. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Until next time, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.